Okay, this is Carrie, and this is going to be a video response to Matt and his question on journey versus destination, and kind of my thoughts on that. First, real quick update, I have read the first newsletter of readitfirst.com, and I am starting my research on trying to crunch those numbers, but I want to put that in kind of a separate video, more directly addressing those things and the pros and the cons I feel about that, so we'll get to that later. On the journey versus the destination, let's look at this through one specific work. The works of M. Night Shyamalan, because I feel like it can work in movies and work in directions and books, but I feel like we should really just look at one specific person, because I think he has great successes and failures that will illustrate my point that you need both the journey and a destination for success. And I feel like people sometimes claim it's the spoilers that get them, that they don't like, but really what they get mad about is that the journey is incorrect. I mean, people don't get mad because rarely do movies necessarily mess up with the destination. I guess not rarely, I mean, but in these major movies that people are getting upset about, like in Harry Potter and stuff like that, the destinations don't typically get messed up. It's the, the journey that people get upset that it gets changed or turned or. So we're going to look at his works, and as Matt does, I'm also going to provide spoilers. So if you haven't seen some of the M. Night Shyamalan works, you may not want to watch if that's something that still might bother you. So we'll start out with his successes. We'll start out with The Sixth Sense, which to me has a fantastic journey and a fantastic destination. He leaves breadcrumbs around with the red colors and throughout the whole movie. In fact, there's a whole scene where when the kid's talking, instead of the focusing on the kid, it's on Bruce Willis's character the whole time. And so when it comes to the fact that you find out he's dead the whole time, it's more of a revelation, but the journey pieces are there. And it really, both of them come together. It's this big kind of really moment, even though that movie became so big that like a lot of people were hearing about it beforehand. And some people were like, oh, I found out. I don't really believe. I bet there was probably fewer than 20% that caught on to that, genuinely caught on to that before the end of the film. But even though there was such a strong journey there, but I felt like the two of those things really played together. And this is one of those things that you can continue to watch and find little breadcrumbs back. Same thing, kind of a different story, maybe a little bit weaker journey, but still a strong journey, is the Unbreakable with Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson, which also goes into the whole idea of this superhuman and it goes into rich details of what it makes a supervillain, what makes a superhero, and all that kind of juxtapositions, and yet you don't fully grasp the destination that, oh, well, the person that caused all these accidents to find the superhero is the supervillain in Samuel L. Jackson, that he caused these things. So, I mean, both those things were kind of jarring and changing and really kind of big impacting moments in the story. And, but the journey, I think, was also there. That gave you plenty of pieces. I mean, you spend a lot of time in his kind of art museum to comic books. I mean, there's lots of different little pieces, little fascinations in there that really make those both great journeys and great destinations. Now, two other movies, one with a great journey, one with a great destination, neither have both. We'll first look at The Happening. I really do feel like this movie has a great journey. It's really led up, lots of suspense, maybe too gory for some people, but I mean, it really is a pretty good story. The acting is pretty well done. I mean, it really is kind of a compelling movie. But the destination, I mean, lets people down so bad. I mean, if you haven't seen it, the trees? I mean, you're really going to come at me with the trees? Are oh no, they're going to come and get me. I mean, it's just a horrible destination in that film. And that's what lets it down. Great journey, horrible destination. I mean, there's lots of moving parts, there's lots of characters, there's lots of movement, lots of them figuring out, oh, it's when we're in groups, as opposed to, and typically these films, it's always like, why don't you group up? It'll save you. In this film, you learn that, well, no, you want to be alone, and it's kind of a different kind of element, and I thought that was very interesting, the kind of way they built that up. But again, I feel like the destination is why people hate that film, was because it's just like so ridiculous and so doesn't fit the journey. I mean, you could have gone a lot of different ways that even didn't make sense, but would have been a lot more satisfying to fit with the journey. And the final one is The Village, which has a pretty decent destination. The idea that these people in the village are all living inside of a reservation because, their parents are cuckoo, it is kind of an interesting destination. But, or I guess they're not cuckoo, they're naturalists. Either way, cuckoo. However, the destination to get there just wasn't very good. It was kind of clunky. Are they afraid of? They got this weird fear system. They got the weird yellows and reds really being overplayed. I think you got too in love with this whole color scheme, and it just fell flat. The journey just was bad. So the journey fell flat, and so the destination was flat. So, I mean, the destination was just kind of like, okay, it just wasn't as good. Also, it was a little bit more relatively catch-onable because the journey was a little bit more blatant in parts. Parts of it didn't connect at all, and other parts were just too, smacked you in the face with it. I mean, I know I saw that one coming, just because it just wasn't a very great journey. Even though the destination, it's a solid destination. With a better plot, that's a solid destination piece. The problem is that the journey to the destination was just bad. So it's kind of how I feel. I feel that it is true, and it's an interesting discussion to look at the journey and the destination. But I don't feel like you can have one without the other. I don't feel like there's very many successful journey films without a good, solid destination. I feel like if one of them lets down the other, they're not as good. I mean, I love Agatha Christie, but some of the books I don't like are some of those that the journey and the destination don't quite seem to match up. I mean, she's always, generally for her, it's the destination. She generally does very good in the journey, but sometimes the destination, especially if there wasn't enough journey pieces for me to get to the destination ever. I mean, I'm not ever going to get every mystery right, but I mean, mystery is a great example for strong journeys and destinations interplay, because it's so important to the story, because there is kind of that element in those stories where you can kind of guess the ending of the books if you're really paying attention, as opposed to other books where it's kind of the reader isn't supposed to know because there may be some secret knowledge that hasn't been yet revealed that's going to break open the case, which can sometimes happen in mystery too, but break open whatever. Those are my thoughts, and this has been Carrie, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.